Welcome back to another episode of In the Chute, where Calen tries to stump the chump and make me say something stupid. I can do that on my own, but what do you got for us today, Calen?
Well, my attempt to make you sound stupid today will be how or what what unwritten social or cultural rules are there in the ed community, or maybe even a Western community, Western culture, specifically the United States. Do you think there are that people may not realize about, that we haven't necessarily covered? Because we have talked about land size, herd size, stuff like that. But what kind of other unwritten rules or social norms do you think there are that people don't realize? And it's kind of one of those things that might be weird, but it's a handy thing to know.
You know, I see some of those things kind of go away over time. But there's a few things that you don't touch another man's horse.
Oh yeah.
You do not do that unless he's asked you to do it, or
Yeah.
you can
Hey, do you want me to
offer.
go grab your horse for you?
Yeah, and they'll say, "Yeah, okay," or say thanks, or no, no, thanks. And if they say no, you don't take that as an affront. It's like, I don't want nobody screwing up my horse, dude. I don't care. You know, I mean, there's that. You don't touch it. You don't touch a guy's hat.
Yeah.
Do not touch another man's hat. I don't care if it's on his head or somewhere else. You do not touch that hat. And you always, of course, you set it down on its crown. You don't set it down on the brim. But
Just
throw it on a.
those two things right there.
Oh, I've seen fights over that.
Well, but there's a bigger thing to that though. Those are two small things in really the perspective of everything. But really, what that boils down to me is that's just simple respect of boundaries, specifically physical boundaries.
Right.
You're coming into my space and you're touching my horse or
Right.
my partner. That's my work partner. And then you're coming in to my space and you're touching me, which is an extension of me, my hat or my horse.
Right.
Like don't push my boundaries. That's just, I think that's a spatial respectful thing.
Well, and I think what people don't really understand is sometimes that hat, depending on the hat, might be the most expensive thing you own that you wear, or your boots.
It's like that, or it's like that song, that Chris Ledoux song, Cowboy Hat, like talks about, that it's a goofy looking hat that he's been made fun of by the bikers, but there's like reasons behind all the things that are with his hat.
Great song. That is so true. That is an absolute true. Yeah, no, that's right. Everybody's hat's a little bit different, the way they wear it, the way they style it, what they stick in the brim or in the hat band or the hat band itself. I made one with a thin piece of old scrap, just a saddle string, and then I fastened it on there by putting a horseshoe nail through, cut a couple holes and weaved a horseshoe nail through there. And
which of all time is probably one of my favorite hat bands I've ever seen, because I've never seen anybody else do that.
Well, I just thought of that. And and I went to the place. He makes great custom hats. I got a couple hats in there right now. He's cleaning up and blocking for me. And he saw that hat band. He goes, "Oh man, that's a great idea. That's a great looking." And it's just a rusty freaking horseshoe nail. And it's getting rustier with me sweating on it, and just a simple piece of leather. So, but you know what? I've never seen anybody else do that. Guys they'll store toothpicks in their hat band.
Yeah,
I've seen, all kinds of stuff. You stick or on their on the inside on the sweatband. I've used to pack money in there. Once I mean, and when you can put money in your hat and you're comfortable with it, it's because that hat doesn't get out of your reach. It's like laying your wallet down somewhere,
Right.
So I've seen guys that'll trim the corner of $100 bill off and stick that in their hat band, so it looks like they're packing $100 bill around. I mean, just creative stuff, But most guys don't touch other guys' hats. It's the problem you have is if you're at a dance or at a bar or something, there's always some girl, especially when you're younger, that's wanting to pull your hat off and put it on, wear it. It's like, baby, if you're saying that to me, this night might end a little bit different, and not all of them understand that, So, it's touching a guy's hat. Don't screw with somebody's dog. If you've got a working cow dog, don't do anything with them.
Because there's two reasons for that. I think it's the same thing like with the horse, right? It's just It's that.
Right.
But the other thing too, you don't know if that's a working dog or not. And sometimes
Correct.
working dogs, and people are like, oh, it's dog's dog. No, no, no. There's a pet dog. Like, hey, this is my pal. He goes with me everywhere. And
Right.
then there's a working dog, and that's legitimately your true working partner. You've got your horse that you ride and you do things, but that dog does a lot of things that if you're by yourself, they're helping you herd, they're helping you move animals, they're helping you go do specific tasks that
Right.
if you start messing with them and spoiling them, that can
Right.
potentially go back. It's like horses, it can make that training go backwards.
Right. Well, it's like you don't feed a goodie to somebody else's dog,
Yeah.
you know. And a working dog like that is different than a pet dog, because we tend to anthropomorphize some of our pets, right? Like your mother. Oh, they're my babies. And
Yeah.
they're adorable.
And they are her
No.
babies.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they get more FaceTime with her than I do. But the thing with a working dog is that dog is not necessarily meant to have a real tight bond with anybody else, or they don't infringe or overstep boundaries. They're a tool. And I
Yeah.
know it sounds cold and callous, but that's the way it is. And those dogs are happy with that job. I've never seen a working dog yet that didn't enjoy working, and they
Right.
knew their place, and this was fine. They stayed in the on the back, or in the back of a pickup, or when if they got to go in the house, they stayed on a rug right there by the mudroom.
Well,
I mean,
they're
that's
they're
their
also
life.
bred to work too. It'd be
They're bred
different
to
if you
work.
were to take a pug, which is particularly, I say
Camping
that,
cow dog
yeah, but I say that because that breed was bred to be a companion dog, nothing more.
and a guard dog. I mean,
Well,
they hear,
not really a
they're
guard
an
dog,
alarm
more of an
system.
alarm, yeah, alarm system.
Yeah, in
they
that
don't
way. Yeah.
they don't guard for shit, but
No,
but they'll let you know that there's something
they
there.
guarded food bowl.
Yeah,
They'll let you
but
know
like,
when it's empty.
but the point is, you don't take a dog like that and make it a working dog. The
No.
working dog is bred to do that, and
Right.
it gets fulfillment and desire based off of being able to jump out of the bed of the pickup and go chase a cow or something like that.
Well, and it's not just a working dog. You think about a guardian dog.
Yeah.
They're the same way. Like the Pyrenees, what is it? Connie has is the Hashknife.
Yeah,
I mean,
something like that. Yeah.
those are dogs that are meant to they're introduced to a herd, and that is their herd, and they guard them, and they are out there on their own, 95% of the time. I know people have dogs like that, some Pyrenees, that's where they live. They take them out, something fresh to eat once in a while, just check on them. But other than that, those dogs are out there, and that is their herd, and they protect them. That's what their lot in life is, and they take their job serious. So,
Yeah.
don't screw the guy's dog. Something that's, and this is a little bit different, I think, and this is where times have really changed a lot, is that you didn't become familiar really with somebody's wife or girlfriend. I mean, women are more independent now, which I'm all for. I mean, that's a good thing. Your mom is one of those women that is completely capable of doing anything anybody else can do outside of physical things, like reaching for things in a top of a cabinet. Why she married me, but I can remember when I was a kid, you were not familiar with people's spouse or girlfriend. You did not really, I mean, you could see that especially in the older guys. And now I think that has changed, where women are more independent, starting with, grandmothers of my era on, where they got more familiar. And you see them now, I got female friends that I'm completely comfortable giving them a hug, because that's their huggers. So you give them a hug,
Right.
not a problem. And I don't remember seeing that a lot. You just
Interesting.
didn't do that. You didn't touch another woman unless you went at a dance and then you asked her husband or boyfriend if you could dance with her.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. See, I've
Yeah.
never experienced that, because like my best friend, he's now married. I hug her all the time, and
Right.
I'll even message her privately. It's not like I have a group message with him and her.
Right.
Like he knows I'm not going to do anything.
Right.
It's just a thing.
Well,
Yeah.
and I've got, female friends, women friends the same way, that, they'll few and far between, but we'll either mostly text once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys drug me into this texting world, and it is handy, but they'll text, and We wanted to have a little conversation. How you doing? What's going on? Hey, did you know about this? And I was like, okay, but there is nothing on my phone that I just wouldn't hand you. Well, your mother picks my phone up all the time and uses it, either take pictures or like,
Yeah.
hey, I just got a text. We're driving. I go, hey, I think somebody just texted. Who is that? And she'll open it up. I mean, you're right. It's completely no big deal, but those times have changed where you just didn't have that personal, I think, familiarity with somebody else's woman.
That's
And I don't
interesting.
mean that in
Yeah.
in a caveman type way, but it was a respect boundary there that you just did not
Yeah.
cross. And of course, dances or folks that spend a lot of time in the bar, I don't think that was that was much of a consideration anyway. But
All right.
it just seems to be that. Uh, and of course, I was raised like this, and you guys were to a certain extent, less so. But when I was a kid and there was a bunch of people around, you didn't say a word. You were to be seen and not heard. And those were the words. You don't speak until you're spoken to, because there was a thing about kids and adults. And there was a completely defined mark about what you did and what you didn't do. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean in ag families, but it just seems to be that way. Of course, that's
It's more.
how I
It
grew
is
up,
more
as in an ag
prevalent.
family.
At least I know growing up, we weren't really treated that way, but there were times where we would go see certain people and you would say before we got out of the car, all
Mhm.
right, boys, here's the rule. Okay, got it. And I think that is more prevalent in the ag and the farming ranching communities, but it is slowly dying, but there are still very much those personalities out there that it is to be that way.
But I think that doesn't have to happen there. That can happen in any kind of an urban
Right.
family as well. I mean, that's a family more of a, and maybe you're right. Maybe it's the social or the, because we're mostly around ag people,
Yeah. It's true.
or a rural area. So, our view of that may be skewed a little bit too. Um, those are some of the big things. Um, telling somebody how they ought to be doing something is,
It's a good
you
way to get
know,
run off.
well, yeah, I mean, but I mean that can happen anywhere too,
Right.
that's sort of stuff. But those are some of the basic ones that I can't think of. I can't think of much else.
I'll
Uh,
give you one just to close this out. I think one for me that it actually really irritates me. I've slowly gotten over it because of the military, but um, it still real irks me is when people don't take their gloves off to shake my hand.
oh, yeah,
That's a thing that it's an etiquette thing to me.
yeah,
In the military, they taught us, especially when you're speaking with somebody, they call it a key leader engagement. Take off your sunglasses so you can see each other's
yep,
eyes. To me, that's the same thing. I take your hand out of your glove because that's a work glove. I don't know what thing that's been in or
right.
on or touched. Like, take it off. Give me,
There's a
touch my
reason
hand.
you're wearing those things.
Yeah, and like when people don't take it off, like I get it in the military, and that's why I say the military is kind of broken me of it because you wear that as part of protection in terms of like the things you're handling, or
Right.
it's part of your suit up when you're going out on like a patrol or something. But yeah, it still irritates me when people don't take their gloves off, and I just like take your damn glove off real quick. Like,
Well, and you just said something that, yeah, is a big one for me. And I because I'm so used to doing it, is that when I go into someone's house, I take my hat off
hat
as
off.
I enter their
Yeah,
house.
yeah,
Take your hat off. Church is the same way. I mean, um, you take your hat off and you stand there in your hand when
right,
you're doing something like that, or in someone else's place, and you don't just sit down. You wait to be told where to sit down, or maybe you're not offered a seat. Maybe you're not as welcome as you think you are.
right.
So those are all kinds of things that you don't assume. It's very small social cues, but and I'm sure we've missed some here too.
Oh
But
yeah, but
but at least
that's
you didn't
okay.
stump me. I didn't stand there with a blank stare on my face.
To be fair, you got to read ahead on this one. So, all right, with that, we will put that conversation out to pasture.